Hello everyone, this is Neha from Vehniyata Vlogs. Let me introduce our very first guest on Vehniyata Vlogs. Our guest is the one who wakes up to the sound of sifang. Finding peace is a cakewalk for her as nature is not far from her doorsteps and Bihu is one of the cultures for which her state is known for. She is from one of the beautiful and vibrant state of India, Assam. You know, Assam has different kind of feeling the moment you speak about it. And in Sanskrit, Assama means peerless or incomparable. During the lockdown, when people were not sure what to do, she is the one of those individuals who brewed an idea. And of course, how can an idea be conceived in state of Assam without green tea? The idea which got brewed amidst green nature and with green tea is known as the Green Collective. The Green Collective is all about love and care. Care for the environment, care for our artisans, care for our earth. The Green Collective for me is the business of future. She is an alumni of SRCC Delhi and INSEAD. She has experience of working for one of the startups turned unicorns. She has traveled cities for work, now happily settled in Assam, nurturing the Green Collective. Her name starts with letter A, which is in sync with her state name as well. I am glad to chat today with Aakanksha Batra, the founder of the Green Collective.
Hi Neha, so happy to be here today. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Very well. Little nervous, quite excited. So happy to get chatting.
From Uttarakhand to Assam, from the Ganga to the Brahmaputra, both the states have their own charm. I mean, being close to nature and surrounded by mountains. I have seen people moving to cities, very eager to know about how it has been from spending your childhood in Uttarakhand and then moving to Assam. Uh, didn't you feel any time that you wanted to settle in big cities?
So Neha, firstly, thank you for having me here once again. And kind of just to answer your question, up until school, I was of course in Dehradun, but after I moved to Delhi, Bombay, Singapore, France, and then back to base. After which is when I moved to Assam. So it has been a very exciting journey. Each town or city really adds to not just your like work portfolio, but also your personality. And I think today where I'm at has just been like a, kind of like a sum of everything that I have experienced throughout my life. And it's good to be in a place where, I have the best of both worlds. I live in a growing town or city, if I may call it, as well as have access to nature. So I think it's incredible.
Right, right. I mean, it's really true that, the place where you spent your childhood is always special and you always crave to go back there. But I think you have found some like connection again in Assam, and it's again on top of my travel diaries.
It should be. I think it is beautiful. It is still so virgin and untouched. And it is really different from the rest of like the country that we have seen or known.
You have worked in corporate for so long time and moved cities. Are there any experiences which help you in starting up the Green Collective?
So Neha, I have, basically started out in consulting and then moved on to startups when India did not even kind of understand the term startups. So that was in the luxury industry, post which I moved on to a food tech startup and then eventually worked at a beauty startup, which is today's, one of the most exciting companies and unicorns to work with. Nike, I think we all know it was listed. And so I feel like each of these journeys has added to, the experience that I think I finally required to take time off and start something of my own. Consulting teaches you to crunch a lot of numbers, be very analytical, be very logical, whereas startups really require you to be on your feet and be thinking and coming up with solutions on the spot because you don't have that much time. Also, it's a smaller team, so decision making happens very quickly. So I feel like all of that, and then again, having spent time in the luxury industry, really teaches you to understand storytelling, to be able to give beautiful words to emotions that products and things can carry, which otherwise would feel very mundane. And so I feel like each of these experiences is like the grand sum of what we see in the Green Collective today in so many different aspects, right from the logical to the more creative and dreamy side of it.
Right, right.
It was just meant to happen, I guess.
Great. I mean, I think every experience in your life which you get makes you grow and helps to move ahead in life and take decisions. Right.
Absolutely.
As we all know, the Indian handicrafts has its own unique history. Like from thousands of years, India is known for its art and fascinating handicrafts, which is still famous around the world. But
Correct.
do you think somewhere with time it has lost its significance in this modern era? Like, what's your take on it? And tell us more about the Green Collective.
Indian handicrafts and handlooms, even today, if you look like from a business point of view, as a sector, does get a lot of revenue into the whole GDP aspect of things. However, it is slowly dying out. You do see that artisans today are much smaller clusters as opposed to how previously they used to be. And so, not just in handicrafts, but in handlooms across the different states of India, you do see that numbers have been dwindling. However, I think governments are realizing this now both at the local and national level, and so there is some sort of revival coming in from their end as well. But it is true. For example, when I actually moved to Assam, and this was just shortly before the lockdown, of course, I moved here to pursue the journey of love, and then of course lockdown struck, and I was stuck with trying to figure out what I want to do, and kind of started, walking around the town and meeting with local artisans. And I had just moved into a new house. I had a requirement of my own. I could no longer fly overseas to a Thailand or Vietnam or Bali to shop for a lot of these things that I personally love, the aesthetic of, a lot of these earth-friendly products that they normally sell. And so when I started seeing that same raw material around me, but in the form of chairs and sofas, it got me thinking maybe I can, ask them to make a few things for me. Of course, we had both the language barrier as well as they were just who is this random girl who has just walked into our workshop and wants us to make some tiny coaster? That's not what we do. But I think I just pushed on, and one thing led to another. They obviously did a very good job because they clearly have the skill set from decades and from generation to generation being passed on to them. And that is really how the Green Collective was born. It was born out of my pursuing a certain aesthetic for myself, which then I felt kind of could be woven into a larger story. Because I feel if we have the same geography as a lot of the surrounding Southeast Asian countries, from where a lot of these products hit the global market, then why not us? I was just questioning that, and I wanted to trial it out. Obviously, I wasn't very sure if it was going to work out, but it did. And that's why 2 years in now, almost, I'm sitting across from you and talking about the Green Collective, and it definitely excites me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really fascinating to know, how you got connected to the artisans, first of all. So it's a lovely story, and I think time comes back, and this is the need of the hour, and we should look back to our old times, like Nana Nani's time.
Absolutely. I think all of us have grown with that sort of aesthetic. I think when our age group was in their childhood, when we were visiting grandparents, or maybe in our own homes, we did have a lot of these beautiful cane chairs in the garden. Or we used to have matti ka bartan, in which we would have, water which was cooled in the summer time. And it would just be tastier, than the fridge water that we all consume today. So I feel a lot of these, raw materials are making a comeback in a contemporary form, and I think that is so exciting. I think we're at this inflection point where, if we really push hard, we'll be able to encourage the younger generations of artisans to continue with this beautiful art and skill.
Right, right. And that's what I mean, it's required for this current period, and it's sustainable too, in a way.
Absolutely.
You started during the pandemic. So, I mean, this pandemic has transformed people's life in both ways. And you founded the Green Collective during the pandemic. So, how has been your experience, about starting in the pandemic, and what inspired you to move into the world of entrepreneurship? Like from doing something else to here starting the Green Collective.
Sure. So, I mean, to answer the second part of your question first, I come from a business family. So somewhere I did want to have a business of my own, even though I went and did an MBA and everything and always worked with, corporates, but I always kind of tried to remain with startups because that's the closest I could get to being an entrepreneur. And finally, of course, when I moved to Assam, and there aren't really like big corporate jobs with fat salaries here,
Right.
I just felt like maybe this was it. Maybe, this is the point that I had been waiting for. Plus, of course, when the lockdown hit, I think all of us got so much time to think, and I wanted to remain productively engaged and keep my mind occupied with, positive things, because there was so much negativity and anxiety around
Right.
us. I just feel like, this is what really like kept me absolutely sane, to be honest. Just being creative, trying to talk about like, going back to older practices. And I think that is really how it started. And of course, I mean, pandemic was not easy, right? Like in the first year of pandemic, I think none of us were very like sure exactly what even the virus was, or what life would look like a year from then, whether even all of us would be alive or dead. Like I think there was like that much confusion on this, right, at that
Right.
point in time. But like I said, I think this was the anchoring point for me. I think it just kept me going from day to day, because it allowed me to really like, mindfully focus on just one product at a time and build stories around them. Um, and when you start in a pandemic, like it really is like the lowest of the low. So I just felt like, if I have to take a risk, might as well take a risk when all of us like are stuck in the same situation, because it cannot get worse than this. So I think that was like also quite motivating in a way. Yeah, that's really like how the journey started.
Being positive is the most important thing in these situations. It's a wonderful thing to be optimistic. It also keeps you healthy and resilient, I think. And I mean, it's all a matter of perspective as well about how you take the situations in life. So, I mean, kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think beyond the point, there's only that much banana bread all of us could bake, right? So I think
Right.
there was a point where I was like, okay, I need to start working out, and I need to start working. Like, there's enough of like just binge eating and being on some like grand vacations. So I
Yeah.
think that also was like a wake up call.
Brand name is often the first element of your business that customers will encounter. So how did you come up with the name, the Green Collective, and decided that this can represent your idea behind the venture?
So, Neha, I mean, green is most obviously a color that is associated with anything that's natural, related to nature, greenery, earth-friendly products. But also, I think like the color for me at a personal level has kind of, held me through my childhood up until, like I was married and here. Because when I was in boarding school, I was in the greenhouse. When I moved on for my MBA, I was in the green section. Somehow the color just kept showing up at like important milestones in my life. And so I felt like, besides the fact that, of course, it is, got this, relation with sustainability, I think it also had this personal story. And so, of course, the Green Collective was formed. And the reason I decided to call it the collective is because even though at the moment we, of course, are limited to, about 5 to 6 raw materials in the home decor and tableware space, we do want to kind of move on to larger product items and also maybe add newer categories. I didn't want to limit the potential that the Green Collective could, reach out to. It's very easy to come up with a name that is both, synonymous with like the nature of business that you're doing and resonates at a personal level. But very important to check social media handles today, because we were going to be an Insta first brand. And for me, I think after I decided this is the name that like I really feel strongly towards, the first thing I did was check Instagram. I was like, is this being taken or not? If it's not, I'm like creating an account. I don't know what I do with it eventually, but I'm just like, creating it and keeping it. Made my email ID, made the Instagram account, quickly looked for a URL, quickly bought it out. And then finally started searching whether, in the trademark classes, if I were to ever register the brand, will I be able to get it? And fortunately, I have to say, I mean, like all of my dirty, quick research worked out, because we're finally a registered brand as well now.
It's very thoughtful, and I think it resembles your true vision. It itself gives an identity to your product, and I mean, helps in gaining the trust of the customer as well. Aakanksha, now coming to your products, they are earth friendly and it's fully handmade, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, so it would be great if you could tell our viewers more about earth-friendly products and what process you follow to make those and how they are different from machine-made.
So, I mean, I think when we use the term earth friendly, I mean, even teak is natural. There are a lot of like other raw materials in the wood space that are natural. But when we refer to earth friendly, what we're essentially saying is that the raw materials we're using. So, in our case, it is a lot of cane. We use water hyacinth, bamboo. We have something known as the moonj grass. We previously used pine needles in a limited way. What we essentially are doing is at the time of harvesting or using these raw materials, we're not harming the environment. Also, the second thing we're trying to do is like source it locally. So if pine needles are being used, they're being used by tribal, our clusters in Uttarakhand itself from their local environment. You know, if we're referring to cane, it is Assamese cane. It is not coming from Manipur or Agartala. We are kind of harvesting as locally as possible through a lot of licenses that the karigars get from the government. And in the process of making, of course, like you already mentioned, these are completely handmade. There are basic tools that are used, like a hammer or some heat to, you know, give it shape and bend it, etc. And of course, we do lightly varnish it, which is a chemical simply so that we can elongate the life of the product. But you know, even at the time of, let's say, trashing the product, if you were to get rid of our products and just like put them in the earth, they will actually biodegrade back. So
Okay.
in that sense, the entire journey is such that we are not really harming. So 90% of it is completely, you know, sustainable in that sense.
Okay. Okay.
10%, why I'm saying, because like I said, we use varnish, or for example, certain products will have nails in them. So of course those are not completely biodegradable, but like 90% of our products, or even 95% of like the product make is completely biodegradable. And
Okay.
the other great part, which I would definitely want to add on at this point, is
Mhm.
that the standard life of any cane product, if taken care of properly, is not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20. If you really take good care of it, I mean, it's anywhere between 30 and 40 years.
Oh,
And it's almost like an heirloom piece that if you were to buy today, you can pass it on to your grandchildren, even. You know,
mhm.
so that is what is so exciting. I mean, if we really give it the respect and the care, it will literally like last you in good stead.
Right, right. Thanks, Akansha, for explaining it so precisely for our viewers. Because even me, the raw materials which you said, I mean, one or two raw materials which I have not heard of. So
Right.
yeah, so it's really knowledgeable also. So this might be the era of advanced technological advancements, but still the charm of handmade exists, and the uniqueness
Absolutely.
of the art makes it distinct.
Definitely, Neha. And you know, I think like a lot of times we do get people who'd be, you know, questioning the kind of price points that we have for a few of our products. And in fact, the smaller products, you know, are slightly more expensive in comparison to the larger
Mhm.
one.
Right.
But what I would like to explain is that oftentimes people don't understand to make a cane sofa, you know,
Mhm.
it takes lesser time for them to create it, you know, once the cane is already treated, as opposed to making a napkin ring. It is more labor intensive to make the napkin ring, which is why the cost is what it is, and therefore the price is what it is.
Okay.
You know, the smaller a product gets, the more labor intensive and more time consuming it gets. That
Okay.
is why initially for me it was extremely challenging for me to get them to, you know, really make products for us, because we were literally scaling it down from a huge sofa set that they were making to like a small charger plate or an even smaller napkin ring. And there was a lot of resistance. They weren't willing to do it. But then, because we were okay to give them the fair price that they were asking, they started doing the work. And interestingly enough, now, I mean, I get calls from them. You know, earlier I used to be chasing them. Have you done my work? You know, when can I get my products? And now it's like, oh, have you got a new design for us? Like, okay, that's a lot of pressure. Like we have to start, you know, continue creating interesting things, because
Right.
somewhere even they, you know, find fulfillment in this creative process.
Right. Right. And yes, definitely, Akansha. I mean, whatever you have said, hopefully, it will make our viewers more aware and informed. I mean, if we add even one handmade product to our life, uh, collectively, it is going to make a difference towards environment.
Absolutely. I always say that one of the, you know, goals that I think as Green Collective we have is, you know, everyone pushes the entire agenda of buying more all of the time. You know, we
Right.
have a very different, like, you know, viewpoint towards the world that has been fed into us through the 90s and the 2000s, you know, running up until now.
Mhm.
But we look at it differently. We're like, buy from us and don't come back to us for the same product unless you want to increase the number of the same things at home.
Right.
We don't want you to, continue replacing what you've already got. Keep that. Like I said, it's already an heirloom. Pass it on. It will actually survive all those decades, not just years. And that eases the pressure on the planet. The
Right.
lesser you're consuming, I
Hmm.
think the lesser there is that pressure, right, on the Earth's resources to
Right.
continue replenishing itself. It's not that easy, right? Like imagine being Mother Earth, yeah. Like how much are you going to produce to satisfy human satiety? I mean, we are like insatiable as a species. So
Right.
I really feel like that is one goal for us for sure.
Hmm. Right.
We had created certain products, keeping a certain functionality in mind, and then suddenly I get a picture on Instagram, someone's tagged our account, and I see a charger plate used as wall decor. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That is like so interesting. I would like, maybe we should do more of this, So a lot of ideas come like, from everyone consuming our products, and that is so much more exciting.
Right. Great. I mean, as you said, you get ideas from customers as well when they share photos and all. So
Absolutely.
customers are really the Karta Dharta of any business. And what has been your some great customers feedback so far, or if you could share some stories of great customer experiences that your startup has created or delivered?
Neha, honestly, I would say, I mean, there is not like one or two experiences that I can talk about. Literally, for me, in the last, 20 months of doing this, customers are who have carried us forward. Like, if they had not shown the interest in our products, I think we would have not even reached this far. But of course, having said that, I think true validation comes when someone reaches out to you and
Mhm.
then they buy from you again, or like a third time, or someone just continues using your products for gifting even. And one time we had like this one uncle from Jalandhar, and he kind of just wanted this custom chair done. We were not doing furniture at the time, and even right now we don't actively do bigger furniture items. We do customized orders or B2B orders on that front.
Yeah.
But he just wanted one chair, and we were like, you know what, let's just do it. Like it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. We've been doing so much of the other stuff anyway.
Mhm.
And great, like he got it, we negotiated a good rate with him and he was quite happy. Finally, he got his product and he loved it. So much so that literally, like 8 months down the line, obviously, because we have so many customers, I had kind of forgotten about him. And then he pinged us on WhatsApp again saying, hey, I need another chair. Will you do it for me? But I still need one more piece. I'm like, this is great. Like, this is the best form of validation. And of course, I mean, not trying to show off here, but like, we do have like a huge clientele in, A-level Bollywood stars. So that definitely is exciting because the moment there's like a glam question attached to your products, like somewhere it feels really exciting because all of these people who are putting the products together are literally like from the village and
Oh,
they are sitting
right.
in homes of Bollywood stars. Like that is really something,
So,
so
so
I just feel like so oftentimes I feel like they don't even understand the way I do, like what their product is able to do or what their skill of hand is able to do. But there are times that I literally worship that skill. I'm just like, it is amazing, like what they have
right.
done and what we have achieved. So yeah, these are very thrilling experiences, to have this one-on-one with people, get them to give us such good feedback.
Mhm.
You'll always have one or two customers who'll be angry, but we take that as like positive feedback to improve ourselves. Yeah, and like I said, I think customers are who have carried us so far, definitely.
Right. I mean, this is awesome and really, really heartwarming to hear such stories. I mean, customers are God and customers are tough as well. They are both sides of the coin. A business flourishes like when you respect all of your customers.
Absolutely.
Akansha, tell us more about the people who are part of the journey. Like, how is your experience so far working with the artisans, and how do they feel for the Green Collective? Like, are there sometimes challenges that you have to overcome to, step into their shoes?
Challenges is like, I mean, I think there is never a day there isn't a challenge. I think I already mentioned, I mean, we don't speak the same language. The region that a lot of these artisans are from, they actually speak Bengali, which is not even like, West Bengal Bengali, but like a Bangladeshi dialect. So it's that
Right.
much harder to get a lot of it. So I think we communicate a lot by just, WhatsApp pictures or just like me sending broken voice notes of like mixed Bengali, Hindi. It's just like a very strange communication language that we have developed with one another, but we have managed it. And I think it's definitely exciting. Of course, there have been challenges. Initially, the number of orders we were giving to them were much smaller. So there was, this resistance, and therefore they would not prioritize my order in time enough because they would be working for, probably other people as well. But I think like as time passed, like I said, I mean, now they, pressurize me for new designs. So literally the switch has flipped. The pressure is now on me to keep them in than the other way around. So I think, yeah, like, overcoming that has been a great process, very humbling process, because you come from a B school and you're like, yeah, I know everything, and then you don't. You literally know nothing, and you have to learn the ropes again.
Right.
So very interesting.
I mean, yeah, language barrier is the most difficult thing because that is one thing how we communicate with each other. I mean, it's some kind of connection between you and artisans that they now understand what you want. And I think there will always be some resistance, but kudos to you again that you know how you dealt with them patiently. And I hope they must have been happy now as it is beneficial for their growth too.
Absolutely. No, I mean, like, even from the time that I started visiting one artisan's house to how his house looks today versus the entire village then joining the forces to help us make it. Like, I think our footprint has really grown from one family in one village to plenty of clusters across different places. And that is really heartwarming because the women who made the pine needle rakis that we launched in a limited way this year are, I mean, they were able to earn a little more, and that puts a
Right.
smile on their face. That might be just like 200 rupees that somebody spent on a rakhi, but for them that meant so much more than just that.
Mhm.
And similarly, I mean, like I said, I think just to see in just such a short amount of time the welcome that I receive now when I go back to the villages versus when I first went, I think it just encourages me that much more that it's going to become even better than this.
Right, right. Lovely. So moving ahead, Akansha, strategies. I mean, strategies are the most important pillar of doing any business. So what strategies do you first use to market your business? Are there any specific geographies which you are targeting, or from where do you get most of your orders?
Right. So, I mean, of course, strategy is like literally the center point of any business at that point. I mean, as you said,
Mhm.
but and we were an Instagram first brand. I felt like we were telling a visual story more than anything else. And even though we were putting beautiful words together, the pictures sold the product more than any words could have. And that was obviously like the mainstay point. Like I wanted to stay very close to my personal aesthetic of how I would want my home to be. And that is really what like you see on our Instagram page.
Mhm.
And then of course, like in terms of targeting or even getting orders, I was very clear that because this material is locally available so easily in different forms, I wanted to kind of like reach out to people outside of the region because I think that is where the market really lay. It was an undiscovered sort of territory, and of course people in uh, metropolitan cities today I feel are very exposed to wanting to discover and go back to their roots. And
Right.
so I think the simplest sell, of course, has always been, let's say, a Bombay or a Bangalore or a Delhi. But I mean, I think what has been a very interesting thing for me is that there have been orders so many times from pin codes in India. I actually had to Google those places, and I was just like, okay, this is embarrassing. I did not even know this place exists. So I think that was more interesting for me because like anyone in a city is anyway that exposed, but someone who's sitting in like such an obscure town is able
Right.
to appreciate the work that you're doing
Mhm.
really validates for me that we
Right.
are doing the right thing, and if we were to expose the brand more, we can reach that many more people. So it's very very exciting because I think we've like serviced more than 170 pin codes by now, and like for me as a small brand I feel like wow, that is the power of e-commerce, right? Like
Right.
even a small town in Madhya Pradesh I did not know existed, there is someone who found us and placed an order.
Right. I mean, it's amazing. From wherever you get the order, the first few of them always remain special and boost the team spirit. But I mean, getting order from a remote place, which you have never, I mean, heard of, must be very encouraging, right?
Is also embarrassing, like I said, because I was just like, how am I so unaware about my country? I guess India is really a large place.
Yes, it is. I mean, there are so many places which we have never heard of, and it's worth exploring.
It's a pleasant surprise. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And it's really good to know that people from small town are also valuing the handmade products.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know e-commerce has made our life easier because of the increased use of social media and its involvement in retail sales. Your reach becomes larger.
Absolutely.
So, as you said about your home and all, so I mean, home is the starting place of love, hope, dream. So, according to you, what is the most important factor while designing or decorating your home?
Neha, I feel like any house will remain a house until you personalize it. No, I mean, I think any house will become a home the moment it reflects the personality of like the main person who's caring for it, as well as everybody who lives in it.
Right.
So it should talk of your culture. It should talk of who you are, rather than just have some stylist come and put together something. Your
Hmm.
home should really be your sanctuary. It should be a place where you are reflected in every wall and every choice that like sits in the house. I just feel like it should just be all about what you love.
Right, right. Lovely. I mean, yeah, your home tells the story who you are. So, I mean, it's the place where you find peace after a long day's work,
For
and
sure.
you are you at your home. You are free. People in cities crave for peace. They travel to places like Uttarakhand or Assam, to to find peace and experience the nature around us. Like for you, every morning must be peace. And so, what's your vacation spot to rejuvenate?
Honestly, I feel like that, Neha, in itself is a myth. The day you decide to have your own business, there is no day of peace. There's no peaceful morning that you wake up to. You always sleep with like 10 problems and wake up with 200 more. Um, so, I mean, of course, I'm not saying that I'm living like a terrible life or anything. I love my life, no
Right.
doubt. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think city dwellers move to, like the mountains, Uttarakhand, Assam, for taking a break from their regular life. I'm lucky. I think I live in a place which balances that out really well. I am in a growing, town city, like I said. But yeah, I mean, when I want to take a break, I think I love going back home, which is my parents' home, because that truly is like the most protected time of your life, all through your childhood. You're surrounded by everything that is so familiar and cozy to you.
Hmm.
That feels like a true break. And besides that, I mean, of course, I love to like go to a city and like get good meals in good restaurants,
Hmm.
or like go to the beach. It's the best. You just like get
Right.
a good walk, just keep watching sunsets after sunsets day on day, and like nothing is more peaceful than that. So if I were to take a break, I'd take like a beach any day.
I know. Yeah, beach destinations are like all-time favorites for most of us.
Yeah.
And as you said, the like where you are staying right now, Guwahati, is it's also developing. So I mean, it's good also because slowly the small towns are getting developed, which is a good thing. So you get access to useful things, useful stuffs as well.
Correct.
And I think urbanization also gives the opportunity to settle down there only, and
Absolutely.
not required to move to big cities, which are already getting overburdened, I think.
Absolutely. That is so correct.
Yeah, and people like you who are trying to utilize the local market and helping in creating employment for the local people, which is really sustainable for future, Akansha. I mean, so more power to you, and I hope more and more people come forward and play a similar role in this.
That is always a hope, Neha. I mean, this is still the very much the start for us, I hope,
Right.
and I hope that it only grows from here. Uh, like you said, I think it's so important to actually, realize the potential of like moving to smaller places and still having a good balanced life. Very often, like it is only in Bombay or Delhi that you will sort of receive certain things. Yes, those cities
Right.
will get you great connections much faster.
Hmm.
The challenges in businesses are lower because the ecosystem is already so set in some
Right.
way that when you're in a smaller place, it can take a little more effort and time to get things in place. But actually, once you do, you will also realize that people stick with you in the longer run in a smaller place. Like at least I felt that way. They
Yeah.
were also very open and very eager. It's like, okay, great, like we want to do this. I didn't
Right.
expect it actually. I really thought it's going to be so much more challenging on certain fronts, but
Mhm.
it pleasantly surprised me. So I was very happy about that.
Right. Right. So I think the journey of entrepreneurship is just like raising your own baby, which I can definitely say is the most beautiful art, but at the same time the toughest job in the world as well. So what's your motivation force which drives you, at times of difficulty or stressed situation?
Tough, but I try to live in the moment. I try to not think too much in the future, because otherwise it all starts feeling very overwhelming, because I'm still a solopreneur. So it obviously gets very challenging when you're pulled in like so many different directions. But I think in terms of the motivation, Neha, I mean, like I said, the welcome I receive now when I go meet my artisans, that one artisan family that became like 10, and the footprint just kept growing for us. And now we have a lot more exciting things on the horizon in the next few months. I think every little milestone where we see we are growing, not just financially or like from a bottom line perspective, but just
Right.
from like the people that we're able to reach out to, both artisans and customers. I think that motivates me every single day. I think in entrepreneurship, there are more downs than ups.
Uh-huh. Right.
It's always like very challenging in the beginning. So you always have to also have, your tribe of people who will continue cheering you on. And I, touch wood, like really feel my families are just so encouraging. Like every small sale has been celebrated. Like I went and won the Nobel Prize or something. And I think
Really?
that's so motivating, because you end
Yeah.
up having a lot of bad days,
Mhm.
but when you have such a good support system, I think it really pushes you to continue working hard and then proving them, like, thank you for cheering me, because I want to prove that you were cheering the correct thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really true that everyone have their toughest or difficult times when they are doing something of their own, or even in job also. But at the end of the day, what we need is support of our family, and when it is there, then there is no stopping you. And being born and brought up in Uttarakhand, you must be close to nature, and this shows in your product as well, as they are environmentally conscious. Can you elaborate a little about how your products can contribute towards making a more sustainable world, and which SDG goals do you think your organization is meeting here?
So I think when you look at SDGs, there are quite a bunch that we are, I think, trying to fulfill. When we use the term earth friendly, I think the SDG that we're trying to kind of, work towards is like respecting forests and forest products without actually harming the
Mhm.
forest. And
Right.
so when we're harvesting the cane, we're not destroying. And because the rate of growth of such, materials, bamboo, cane are just so high that even if you are to harvest them often enough, they grow back that much more quickly enough. So I feel like that is definitely one SDG that we are meeting. The other is obviously getting, more equitable economic access for the communities that we work with, the artisans.
Right.
So we try to engage women in work as well from the households rather than just the men, because at least in caning, at least in Assam, I can speak for, it is men who are the majority of really doing this. But every time I go to the village, I'm just like, no, but for the smaller items, use the women. Their hands are nimbler, thinner. I mean,
Right.
teach them as well, because then that's that many more products that you will be able to help me with, and that much more money you are earning.
Right.
So I think over time, of course, we've seen that engagement coming in, like the women will help with the varnishing and the drying process, and so much more. So I think like that is another SDG that we're
Mhm.
working towards.
Right. Right.
The third, of course, is obviously also sustainable production, which we already said, as well as consumption. I think
Right.
earlier in my interview, I did say that, what we love is that you come back to us for a purchase of a second product.
Right.
Instead of like having to replace an existing one that you bought from us, because the life of our products is anywhere from 30 to 40 years. So
Mhm.
keep pass that on,
Right.
you should not have the need to constantly replenish. We are multifunctional in nature. Use the same product in 25 different ways in your house. Don't
Right.
throw it away. Even if you throw it away, it will still biodegrade. So that again helps ease out the earth's resources, right? So definitely, I mean, these are the SDGs that we are trying to meet. And I think the highest amount of carbon footprint that we are driving is basically on shipping our products to our customers,
Right.
because everything that we're trying to source is as local as possible, as I mentioned. So if the pine needle rakhis are being made, they are being made by the women of Uttarakhand with pine needles that they're locally from their surroundings collecting. All the cane that we're getting is from Assam, not Andaman, not
Right.
Vietnam. We are using our local cane. That is why it does look a little different from what you've seen in Bali, because that is Bali cane. We are using our own. So
Hmm.
all of these things, I feel like over time, help, kind of reduce the pressure, reduce the
Right.
carbon footprint. We try to remain as plastic free.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say 100%, it is still a journey for us.
Right.
But for the most part, we use recycled cardboard and boxes and cartons to ship our products.
Right, right. I mean, it's great to understand this from you, Akansha, like making our viewers aware about the sustainable development goals which your company is contributing to. And I think how you explained it, if you are doing one thing for environment, it is interconnected with other goals
Absolutely.
as well. Like you said, like people like you who can go to the villagers and encourage them to bring out the woman in house, and they can also add on to their income. So
Absolutely.
that's a great encouragement from your side, Akansha.
I feel very strongly towards the whole, empowering women agenda. I feel like our families gave us that, and I feel like, that's my payback to the world by
Right.
encouraging as many women around me as I can, and be like, please be productive. You are not just like a, child bearer or caretaker. You're so much more.
So what have you enjoyed most about starting your own company, and would you like to tell us about any future plans you have in mind for your venture?
So I think in terms of future plan, I think I already kind of gave it away. We had not worked with bamboo up until now, but now we are launching, as of this week,
Mhm.
few limited things in bamboo, which is exciting for me because, it's yet one more raw material that we're adding to our existing list of, earth-friendly materials. And again, like, the usage is different and the look is different. So definitely exciting. And I mean, there will be a few interesting announcements that you will see in the next few months. Fingers crossed, if all goes well. So, yeah, I think I would like maybe tell people just follow us and get the news on our social media page. That's where it'll all be. But yeah, I think entrepreneurship is very satisfying. I feel like at the end of the day, like you said very correctly, it is like your own child. You sleep at peace knowing that you created something
Mm.
and it's doing something for people in the world.
Right, right.
Even if it's small. We started with 12 orders in that month, you
Okay.
know, and now we have grown. So I feel like that's that many more houses that we're reaching out to. We are present inside of, and people are using these products. So
Right,
somewhere it's a very satisfying journey.
right,
It's hard. It'll always be hard. Even a job is hard. But at the end of the day, like this feels like it's your own.
right, right. Lovely. So wish you all the best, Akansha, and I mean more power to you. We would love to see new products coming up and adding more love and care for our planet.
Absolutely. No, no, we're always, like I said, I have too much pressure from my artisans. We have to continue developing for them now to keep them, engaged. And thank you so much for having me. I think this has been such a wonderful chat. Like, there are times when you continue working without realizing what you're doing, but once in a while, it's nice to sit back and talk about it. And suddenly it feels like, okay, yeah, maybe I did accomplish a little bit, if not too much. So, a good moment for sure.
Great, lovely, Akansha. So, lastly, I mean, any tip for our viewers who is trying to start something in the field of sustainability?
I feel like sustainability wise or non sustainability wise, if you are looking to start something, there'll never be a correct time. I feel like the correct time was always yesterday, as of yesterday. Um, I could have done so much more had I started like even a few months before,
Right.
maybe a year before that. I don't know. But just start it. There'll never be a right time. Now is the right time. So just go for it. That is number one. And for anyone who's wanting to get onto the sustainability journey as a customer, I feel like don't try to tackle all of like the world's problems just by your individual pattern. Every small thing makes a difference.
Right.
Make that switch from a plastic toothbrush to a bamboo one.
Right.
Maybe shop at Zara a little lesser. Maybe like try to go to like a homegrown brand.
Right.
spend a little extra with them because they've really like sourced that material with love from
Mm.
someone, that is a little more ethical. And like it is also going to be stylish. Just try it out. At
Right.
least do it. Maybe go from like your regular dals to something that is a little more organic from the local market.
Right.
These small things will start adding and contributing. You can't like also be plastic free, also be vegan, also
Right.
stop taking flights altogether for a vacation.
Right.
It's not going to happen. We are millennials and Gen Z and forward. Like this is how we were brought up. We were brought up with like treating the world as our village. So
Right.
a lot of these habits and patterns may not change overnight, but like I said, I think take that small step and every day like you will be contributing that much lesser pressure on the planet.
Right, Akansha. I mean, it's a beautiful thought which you have shared with our viewers, and it's a simple step, just one small step at a time. That's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
Right. So thank you so much, Akansha, for your time and sharing about your lovely journey and thoughts with us. I mean, I know it's festive time and it must be very busy going for you as well. I really appreciate and thank you for taking some time to speak between these. It was
Absolutely. This was my pleasure more than I guess yours. I think it's just so interesting to know about what you are doing as well, because I feel like it's one thing as a business to put these things forward, but then we need people like you, flag bearers, who will talk about it,
Mhm.
make that many more people aware, because we are nothing without the people who will go on ahead and speak more on this agenda. I think the world needs that more urgently now than ever before. I think we're all beginning to realize that.
Right, right. And thank you so much for encouraging me. And it means a lot because we together can bring a change.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awesome to have you in Vanieta Vlogs and wish you all the very best for future plans.
Yeah.
And hope to speak you again and have the conversation in person.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Having our green teas and coffees together. Look forward to
Yeah, yeah, surely. That was Aakanksha Batra from the Green Collective on Vaheniata Vlogs. For more such conversations and finding your ability for sustainability, follow us, like us, and share your comments on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Spotify.